ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
It is Tuesday, September 15th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join the program by calling the Miller Lite phone lines at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. Miller Lite, hold true, great taste. Only 96 calories. It is the original light beer. It's been a couple days since we've actually had a chance to talk. Yesterday, for those of you listening, we had baseball, and then we haven't had a chance to really do anything with each other for a few days. So good to be back with you, and thanks for tuning in. We've got a lot to get into. Today was Doc Holliday's press conference over Zoom, so we've got all the highlights from that, and we'll break that down for you. And we'll get your phone calls in, as I mentioned, on the Miller Lite phone lines at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. And I think the big news we got to talk about today is that the game between Marshall and 23rd ranked Appalachian State here in Huntington is going to be moved back 2 hours to 3:30 p.m. It's going to be broadcast on CBS television, not CBS Sports Network, actual CBS proper. It has been, if I've done the math right, it's been 27 years since Marshall last played on CBS Network. It was the 1993 1AA championship game versus Youngstown State. We're not going to talk about that game. I am not going to talk about that game because, well, it brings back memories I don't want to have to address. Let's just say it was not a good day for the Thundering Herd, but Marshall, of course, would get another championship in 1996, but this was the final time that Marshall would play on CBS. The championship game would move to ESPN. So after the 1994 championship game moved over to ESPN. But yeah, 27 years. It's been a long time since Marshall has been on CBS. So pretty cool that this game got picked up and got moved from CBS Sports Network over to CBS. Lots of opportunities here with the way the schedule has been changed and altered. And you don't know week to week if someone is going to postpone a game because of COVID concerns, or they don't have enough players, or someone's actually contracted the coronavirus. You don't know if someone's going to make that decision. And so we wait to see what these institutions and these administrators are doing. Marshall going forward, so far so good, been clean, and that is really a testament to what they're doing with their protocols. And Appalachian State was clean as well, so everybody's been pretty good. As of right now, not catching the COVID-19 coronavirus, and we play ball. Now, on a local level, high school football has sort of been this dartboard. You wait patiently, you see the map, you've got the four colors. You've got green, means you can play. Yellow, you can play also, but you better be careful. Then you get into orange. You can't play. You can practice, but you can't play. And then you get red. You can't do anything. And, of course, this is really determining what schools can do as far as admissions, what schools can do as far as extracurricular activities. And let's be honest, there are a lot of people who have thrown a fit that they can't play, or this is unfair, or the map changes. And to be quite honest, the map has changed several times, and I can't keep track of it. It's changed, 5-6 times now? And now we have a new category. So new map comes out, has a gold category, and you have 5 colors now. If you're in the green, you can play. If you're in the yellow, you can play. If you're in the gold, you can play, but you can only play against in-county opponents or other gold county opponents. So if you're in the gold and someone else in another county is in gold, you can schedule a game with them, okay? Now you still have the orange, can't play, and you have the red. And right now, with the new gold category, Boone, Fayette, Logan, Putnam, Mingo, all able to play now because of the new color code. Mon County still can't go. Kanawha County still can't go right now. And I think This is just going to add more confusion because now you've got 5 colors. What are we going to do? Add a 6th color next. This thing keeps changing. I understand you need to be fluid. I respect that. But at the same time, make your minds up. Stick with the standard here. And I understand the frustration from student athletes and parents and educators, and I get that completely. I really do. But at the same time, this thing has jumped around so many times. Figure it out already, can you? And that's my editorial on that matter. Just figure it out and wear the masks. We wouldn't have been in this position if people would have taken this a little bit more seriously a few months ago. And we've had several months to prepare for this as well. I mean, give places like Marshall credit, give West Virginia credit as well. They're able to pull this off. Why? Because they've got the things in place they need, and they've been planning for months because they knew as institutions, look, we've got the possibility of limited games, and one way to make sure that as an institution you can play is to keep everybody, I don't want to say put them on a leash. It's probably I mean, it feels like it maybe, but you're basically reining people in and saying, look, wear your mask, do this, do that. Play it safe, be smart about it. No positive tests, we can probably play several games. And, of course, you see the benefit here. Marshall was on ESPN for the first game against EKU, and now you've got a ranked opponent coming in Appalachian State, and you've got Marshall. Games on CBS Sports Network. Well, that game looks attractive, so next thing you know, it's moved to 3:30 p.m., going to be on CBS proper. First time in 27 years, so you got a lot going on. We've got a lot going on tonight in other sports, the NBA playoffs. We've got the Western Conference semifinals taking place, Game 7, the Nuggets and the Clippers. That's going to be a 9 o'clock game tonight. You can watch that on ESPN proper. Also, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Tonight, the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics. That's going to be a little earlier. That's set for a 6:30 airtime, again, on ESPN. NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, the Eastern Conference Final taking place tonight, Game 5 of that series between the New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa leads the series 3-1. They're probably going to close this thing out tonight, and it starts at 8 o'clock. And Tampa Bay, if they win, they will move on to the Stanley Cup and face off against the Dallas Stars. Dallas eliminating the Vegas Golden Knights. So I guess I'm rooting for Tampa now. Tampa's probably my team. Vegas is going to be my team. It's sort of my West Coast team, but I guess I'm taking Tampa just for rooting interest as well. After that, I go back to being, I can root for your team, but after that, congratulations, we go back to default. I'm not going to order championship material, shirts, hats like some people I know. I'm not going to do that. All right, when we come back from break, we've got Doc Holliday. We're going to talk about what is set for Saturday, kind of pick his brain a little bit, see where he's thinking, what he's looking at as far as the opponent coming in, Appalachian State. We will do that when we continue here on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. By now, you've probably heard about FanDuel Sportsbook's world-class betting app. I don't know if you have had a chance to download this yet, but it's easy. I'm not really a sports book guy, and it's really easy. And FanDuel makes it easy to find and place your bets. They've got some of the best odds you can find anywhere. You've got constant enhanced odds boost, and they get your winnings in as little as 24 hours. There's a lot of reasons to try FanDuel Sportsbook, but here's 2 more. Right now, new users can place their first bet on FanDuel Sportsbook risk-free, and they can get up to $1,000 back in site credit if you don't win. Now, they like me to talk about some of the bets that are on FanDuel. I'm going to be quite honest with you. That's not a good idea. They don't know me very well. Because I'm going to pick the Bengals every single time. So don't take my advice. Because right now, the Bengals are getting 5.5. The spread's 5.5 against the Browns. I'm going to take the Bengals. Don't follow my advice. Don't do it. But the Bengals are getting 5.5 over the Browns. You can make that bet if you want. They've got plenty of options for you. They've got money lines, same game parlay bets. They've got all the action. But again, if I'm looking at bets, I'm saying the Bengals are 5.5, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll take that. Don't take my advice. They want you. They want you to hear what I would take, but I'm going to warn you: don't take my advice. Even though the Bengals are 5.5 there. That's coming up on Thursday, by the way. We'll have that game for you right here at ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. But 5.5 on FanDuel right now. You can make that wager. You just go to the FanDuel app, and it's real simple. You can log in. You can bet the spread. They've got different other options for you. They also have a great promotion going on right now, the football double up. Always on promotion. It's available. You place a pregame moneyline wager, and if your team scores 35-plus points, you get double your winnings. Max bonus is $50 inside credit, one eligible wager per person. So all you have to do is go see for yourself why FanDuel is the #1 sportsbook app. You download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. Be sure to sign up with promo code SWAN so they know I sent you. That's a big thing. Sign up, use that promo code. They know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code SWAN. You must be 21 or older and present in West Virginia. First online real money wager only. Site credit is non-withdrawable, expires in 7 days. There are restrictions. They do apply. You see sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. And keep this in mind. If you have a gambling problem, you want to visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. That is 1-800-GAMBLER.net.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Welcome back to The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Today was our opportunity to catch up with Doc Holliday, get his thoughts on the upcoming game between Thundering Herd and Appalachian State. The Mountaineers coming back to Jones C. Edwards Stadium. It's been a long while since Marshall has faced off against Appalachian State. For those of you who are a little older, you remember those days in the Southern Conference. For those of you who are a little younger, let me just say this was one of the more fun, intense rivalries back in those Southern Conference days. I'm more of a fan of Marshall being in the Southern Conference. It was necessary for Marshall to move. They, as a program, trying to move up, so going to the MAC was good. I kind of wish at times that maybe Marshall could still be in the MAC, only because I like some of the rivalries and some of the teams that are there. I like playing Eastern Kentucky. I like playing some of those squads as well, but I like more of the familiarity of some of those MAC teams. But I like some of the familiarity of some of those Southern Conference teams as well. But I'm getting used to having EKU come in now and then you have Western Kentucky on a regular basis. So that makes a lot of sense to play that school no matter where you're at conference-wise. Middle Tennessee as well. Charlotte, which got beat by Appalachian State. I like playing them as well. So you have lots of opportunities here geographically if you stay in the east side of Conference USA for some nice rivalries to develop. But Appalachian State was always one of those fun ones. I love playing them. Georgia Southern as well. There were a lot of fun times when Marshall was playing in the Southern Conference. And, of course, that stuff maybe I reminisce a little bit more. It really doesn't mean much to this current squad. All these kids know is Appalachian State's coming in. They're a pretty good team. They're solid in the Sun Belt. I mean, the Sun Belt's getting a lot more notoriety. Sun Belt's getting a lot more attention, especially when you go in, you smack the Big Ten. Check that. You go in and you smack the Big 12 in the mouth. Sun Belt had a field day with some of those Big 12 teams. Power 5 indeed. So you have Appalachian State coming in, and Doc Holliday addressing the media today with his opening statement, and he names the captains, and he sort of gives us an overview of what we can expect for the week.
Sheldon Evans is a captain again for this week, for the second week in a row. Done a tremendous job. Will Almer will be our other offensive captain. Kobe Cumberlander is a guy that our defense wants as a captain, just plays extremely hard, has done a great job with the leadership, and excited for him, watching his maturity and the growth that he's had. And then our final captain is Beckett again this week, who played extremely well last week. So those guys, it's going to be important. Those guys, along with everybody else, with the caliber team we've got coming in here that provide great leadership. And as you all did, I just found out that we're on CBS. And that's a great deal for our program, just like the ESPN was a couple weeks ago with Eastern Kentucky, because anytime you can have that kind of exposure, it's huge. It's huge for recruiting. It's huge for Marshall University, our fan base, our community, and I know our players will be excited and our fans will be excited. It's going to be a great opportunity for us.
To be honest, the TV package so far has been a lot better than it has been in years past. Not going to be that many fans in attendance because of COVID-19 and restrictions. So being on CBS, widest net possible to make sure everyone that wants to watch the game can. So that is a big deal. He's right, big deal for Marshall. And we'll talk a little bit more later about being on CBS and what that means for this program. But to the game at hand, Appalachian State coming into Huntington. That program has won 20 of its last 21 games following last week's 35-20 victory over Charlotte. Now, that game was played on a Saturday. Marshall was off. Doc Holliday, he had an early practice, gave the kids an opportunity to go home, watch that game. For the most part, that's what they did after practice, and they've been working on that game ever since. So I asked Doc what he thought of Appalachian State, and Doc really thinks that Appalachian State is a tremendous team.
Well, I think, number one, I saw App State's a tremendous, tremendous team. I mean, it starts anytime you've won as many games as they've won, conference championships, bowl games, et cetera, it starts with their quarterback, Thomas. I mean, that's where it all starts. When you win that many games and won a championship, championships they won recently, it starts at the quarterback position. He's tremendous, provides great leadership for him. You can tell by the way you watch him play. And he's surrounded by, 4 senior offensive linemen. They're all back. They got 6 or 8 all-conference returnees on offense, same thing on defense. And, you just see a talented football team that's, extremely well coached and tough. And, Sean's done a great job with them. So, we're expecting the battle and we're excited to play.
Now, if you watched any of that game between Charlotte and Appalachian State, you saw that the Mountaineers ran for 308 yards against the 49ers. Marcus Williams Jr. had 117. Cameron Peoples had 102. Each of those young men scoring as well. And talking to Doc, he was asked about that run game, and he said that the App State run game starts with those guys up front.
Well, it starts up front. I mean, they do a great job with this outside stretch play and do a great, they just do, they're so well coached. They do a tremendous job of cutting off the backside of that. And those backs just do a great job of stretching it and finding that crease and getting north-south. And as you mentioned, anytime you rush for over 300 yards, that's a heck of a day. And they starts up front. And then when you got excellent backs you can hand that ball to, then it creates a problem for us. So that's something we got to work on. And, at the end of the day, you got to be able to stop the run at some point. You have no chance of winning.
Now, Appalachian State, one of their strengths, the run game, as we just illustrated. One of Marshall's potential strengths, the run game as well. We're going to see what Appalachian State and Marshall look like when those two teams meet as far as similarities. But Doc Holliday's been watching the film. He knows about the Appalachian State running backs, and he's pretty impressed with his own guys, and he does see some similarities with both teams' running back squads.
They've had tremendous backs there and do a great job recruiting those guys. And like us, I mean, I feel like we got 3 or 4 really good backs as well. So, when you can have that type of backs in that running back room that we do and they have, then it creates problems for people. So I'm hoping our backs and, our offensive line are senior guys as well. So it'll be kind of strength on strength, not strength on strength, but our offense is very similar to theirs as far as our offensive line. I think we have good backs as well. And it's going to be hopefully a great challenge for both defenses.
Another challenge for the Thundering Herd is going to be that Appalachian State defense. You've got a brand new quarterback in Grant Wells. Really not tested against EKU. So this is going to be an opportunity for Marshall fans to see what he looks like against more comparable talent, a better defensive line than what you saw against EKU. Doc Holliday says that App State has some experience and they have some great athletes on defense.
Well, they got 7 preseason all-conference players back, so on that defense. And, Jolly, you mentioned he's a first-team All-American candidate. Like I say, he's probably going to be a first, second-round draft pick. So he's an excellent player. And when you watch him in that secondary, they got athletes back there at every position, just like up front. That DN number 9, Taylor, he's an excellent player from down in Miami there, and he's a problem as well. So like I say, they're obviously with success they've had, it starts with playing great defense, and they do that. And like I said, they got athletes all over the field. I think they got 3 guys that were on that team a year ago that were drafted in the NFL. So they've done a great job recruiting. They got good players.
Speaking of Wells, he's completed a lot of passes in a short time. He completed his first 8 passes. He finished his debut 16 for 23, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He can always get better, though. Quarterback gets better. A team gets better from week 1 to week 2. That's always been the saying, the adage. And you've had some time now to get ready for Appalachian State and work on some things. And Doc Holliday, he has a checklist of things he wants to see from his young quarterback as he improves.
Well, I think number one, just continue do what we did, against EKU and take care of the ball. And number one, take care of the ball and don't have any turnovers. That's where it all starts. And then just keep growing as a quarterback. Just keep doing what he did, make great decisions. Take what the defense gives you and just continue to run the offense. So we were asking to run the offense, and he's had a couple more weeks under his belt, and we expect him to do that.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, this game is going to come down to one thing. And that's something that Marshall might be able to take advantage of, and that's turnovers. If you watch the game between Charlotte and Appalachian State, App State had some turnovers. They overcame those turnovers, but at the same time, there is some potential there if Marshall could take advantage of that. And Doc says a game like this almost always, a game like this, he's talking about a big game, a game that has 2 really good teams. Of course, you're on national TV. There's a lot of people watching. So he talks about a game like this almost always comes down to turnovers.
Well, normally anytime you play a big-time game, against an excellent football team, it's normally going to come down to turnovers on who wins and loses that game for App. But it tells you a little bit about how good they are. Is they were able to overcome all those turnovers and still win the game handily. So they're an excellent football team that normally they do a great job of taking care of the ball. That's who they are, and that's why they are where they are. And there's no question when you get into a game of this magnitude that's going to be here on Saturday, that's the team that takes care of the ball is probably going to have a chance of winning it.
We got more for Doc Holliday, Marshall on CBS, as we mentioned. We'll talk about that, what the potential means for the Thundering Herd to play national TV on CBS. And you can say Marshall's been on national TV a lot. ESPN counts as national TV. ESPN Plus, maybe not so much, but CBS Sports Network does count as national TV. It just depends on what your definition of national TV is. However, there's no arguing. When you're on CBS, you're pretty much on true national TV. Everybody can get CBS in one form or another. For the most part, you're going to have a lot of eyeballs on you being on CBS, and we'll talk about that game. Are there some pitfalls? Will this game change the attitudes of players on Saturday? Also, a couple of questions that, I don't necessarily agree with, but I'll point those out and get you Doc's response to them when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank, this is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We're breaking down what Doc Holliday had to say today in his weekly address to the media. Coming up this week, Marshall faces off against number 23 Appalachian State. The game was originally scheduled for a 1:30 kick. It's been moved to 3:30 p.m. because of television. Marshall no longer playing on CBS Sports Network, instead playing on CBS. And that's where we start. This is a game that, of course, is going to have a bigger audience. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't think that matters as much to these kids. They just want to go out and play. They don't care that there's 100 people out in the stands or 100,000 people out in the stands. I mean, there's a little adrenaline that goes along with that. But really, when the ball is snapped, you're just focusing on playing football. So I don't think that this is going to be that big of a deal for these kids. But the question was asked about these kids and their attitudes. And if do you think that the kids are their attitudes are gonna change about this? And Doc basically said, "Hey, look, he basically, I mean, he succinctly said it. He doesn't think playing on CBS is going to change his team's attitude about this game on Saturday."
Well, I hope it doesn't change the psyche of the team. I mean, just having the opportunity to play a great team coming in here, that should be enough. But, it's just added. I mean, a lot of these kids' families can't see them play at this point, especially grandparents and a lot of other relatives that can't make it to games for obvious reasons. And I think just gives them an opportunity to, for everybody to have a chance to watch them play. And I know they'll be excited about that.
Now, another question, of course, when you play on national TV, you always have the question is, it's a great opportunity. You're playing on national TV. What do you think of the opportunity to play on national TV? And yeah, you are playing on national TV. But at the same time, it doesn't matter that you're playing on national TV. Yeah, you've got that opportunity. Doc Holliday, he's thinking a little further ahead, and instead of just, hey, yeah, oh, great, hey, we're on CBS. He says you got to take advantage of the opportunity of playing on national TV.
Well, I don't think there's any question, because there are some people out there that aren't playing that, we're getting some opportunities that we probably wouldn't have had on a national stage. And, it's one thing to get those opportunities, another thing to take advantage of them and be prepared and go take care, be able to handle it and go play really well. So, we got that opportunity now. Now it's important this week that we have a great week of preparation. So when that ball hits the tee, the foot hits the ball at 3:00 or 3:30 on Saturday, we're ready to go.
Keeping along that theme, there's one question that I don't know if I would have asked it differently. Appalachian State comes in, they're ranked. That's a big deal for Appalachian State. That's a program that has had lots of success. They were very successful in the Southern Conference. They moved up to Division I. They're playing in the Sun Belt. They've had a lot of success there. They are undefeated in bowls right now. You look at their game notes. I mean, their game notes even point out that they've had an excellent, successful transition and pointing out the fact that they've started out 5-0 in their bowls and pointed out that Marshall, in its first year as a Division I program, or FBS, lost its first outing. I mean, really. I don't think that's shade, but it kind of is. I mean, this is a program that is successful, established. I mean, it's a good football team. It really is. I mean, would you call Appalachian State a football giant? I'm not going to go that far. Are we talking about Alabama? No. Are we talking about Clemson? No. Are we talking Ohio State? No. Appalachian State's a really solid, really strong, really good football program, but I'm not going to go ahead and call them giants. However, some in the media, not naming names, asked Doc about if there was any feeling about going out there. Your kids, you're playing a ranked team, and do your kids go out there? Do you have any feeling about going out there and being a giant slayer? And I don't know if I'd have asked it that way, but here's Doc's really short reply.
Well, anytime you get that, it's a great opportunity for us, and anytime you get the opportunity to play a team like that, that's a great challenge for us, and one that we look forward to.
I mean, I don't think Doc's going to come out and say, "Look, oh yeah, you know what? We're going out here, we're taking them down." You're not going to get that from Doc Holliday. But the question was sort of rephrased, and Doc was asked again, is there any extra motivation about a chance to upset a ranked team? Here's Doc's response.
Well, I think anytime, with what's going on out there right now, anytime you get a chance to play a game, I'd be excited about playing. We worked extremely hard to, to play, get a chance to, open up a couple of weeks ago and play one game. Now we got a chance to play two. And, I think with the situation, just look around what's happening around the country right now of all the, BYU, there's been a ton of games that have been canceled. So, it's just exciting for our players to have that opportunity to go play again. And, fortunately for us, it's on a national stage against an excellent football team. So it's a great opportunity. And, I think any team in the country right now, when you get that opportunity to play, is going to be excited about getting the opportunity to do that.
Doc's not worried about them being ranked. Doc doesn't hype these kids up and go in there and say, look, they're ranked. You better get up for this game. He wants his team to go in and focus and be excited to play EKU, to play Appalachian State, to play Western Kentucky, to play La Tech, to play FAU, to play FIU, to play Middle Tennessee, to play Charlotte. He wants his team to go out there and be up to play those games. Doesn't want him to be super high for Appalachian State and then come down to earth for it's Western Kentucky. Or, hey, we beat Appalachian State and maybe not be so into Western Kentucky. No, he wants them to be even-keeled. Already come out and just excited for the fact, hey, look, you get to play a football game. And that's where he's going with that. So, again, not necessarily that's not how I would have asked this question. And really, I don't know if I would have asked him, hey, Doc, are you excited you're playing a ranked team? We're playing Appalachian State. They're a really good team. Yeah, we're excited for the opportunity to play them. I mean, that's what you're going to get every single time. That's the answer you're going to get from Doc Holliday. And finally, with our presser with Doc Holliday today, this team had a fun opportunity here. I mean, Doc worked them on Saturday, and then they got to go home just in time to go watch the game between Charlotte and Appalachian State. Marshall familiar with Charlotte, getting familiar with Appalachian State. So, these kids got to watch the game. They didn't watch in the film room. Usually, first exposure to the opponent, for the most part, is the film room with the coaches. And Doc was asked if there was maybe some extra benefit here. Got to watch the game live. And I think Doc thinks there is some extra benefit of watching this game. But at the same time, he talks about the fact that it's not the same watching the game with the coaches. But the benefit, I think, in Doc's mind was he said it gave him something to do on Saturday.
I don't think it's quite. Yeah, I know our guys. They got to sit back on Saturday. We practiced early Saturday morning so they could get out in time to watch that game at noon. So you got a chance to watch them play against a team they're aware of with Charlotte. So get an idea of a little bit about the players. But when you actually get them in meetings and have an opportunity to watch the tape and slow it down and run it back and all that kind of thing, they probably get a lot more out of it sitting there with a coach watching it. But that being said, it gave them something to do on Saturday afternoon, which was good.
Completely different. You have film breakdown. You're focusing on your position, what you need to do, what player tendencies are, what the coaches know, because the coaches are scouting. The coaches are breaking film down. I mean, they were probably looking at it real time as well, taking some notes, and then get in there and do some film study, break it down. You don't get that from just watching a game. But it was fun, I'm sure, for those kids to get together, socially distanced. I'm sure maybe if you got you're rooming with somebody, you couldn't do it as a complete unit. But I'm sure maybe a couple of guys got together here or there. They all watched the game, and they got to see Appalachian State and Charlotte. They'll see Charlotte later this year. They will see Appalachian State coming up on Saturday. And that's Doc Holliday from his press conference earlier this afternoon. We'll get your phone calls in 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. More on the way. It's The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I've been talking about FanDuel Sportsbook a lot, and you've probably heard about their world-class sporting betting app. It's easy to find. FanDuel has made it real simple. All you have to do is get the app and you place your bet. They've got some of the best odds you'll find anywhere. Constant enhanced odd boosts, and they even get you your winnings as little as 24 hours. Now, there's a lot of reasons to try FanDuel Sportsbook, but here are a couple more. Right now, new users can place their first bet on FanDuel Sportsbook risk-free and get up to $1,000 back in site credit if you don't win. Now, they've got a promotion going on right now. It's their football double up. It's available to all customers. What you do is you place a pregame moneyline wager, and if your team scores 35-plus points, you double your winnings. Now, the max bonus is $50 in site credit, one eligible wager per person. And, of course, you always got to check out what some of the money lines, same-game parlay bets are. And don't take my advice. They like me to tell you what I'm looking at, and I'm trying to tell you right now, don't. I'm just going to be honest with you, because if you take my advice, I'm going to tell you to put it all on the Bengals. So don't do that. Don't take my advice, even though they like me to do that. At FanDuel, they like me to share what I'm going to do. I don't feel in good conscience I can do that. So, yes, the Bengals are getting 5.5. 5.5 plus. Do you want to take that bet? I probably would just say, sure. Don't do what I would do. But you can log on to FanDuel.com. You can find out for yourself why FanDuel is the #1 sportsbook app. All you have to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. Be sure to sign up with promo code SWAN. They know I send you there if you do so. That's it. Promo code SWAN. They know I sent you. That is FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code SWAN. You must be 21 or older and present in West Virginia. First online real money wager only. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires in 7 days. Restrictions do apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net.
Buckle up. Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive. ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our phone lines this hour brought to you by Miller Lite, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. Don't forget, Miller Lite holds true great taste. Only 96 calories. It is the original light beer. As we mentioned, big-time games coming up tonight. We've got a Game 5 tonight in the National Hockey League. This could wrap it up as Tampa Bay leads the series 3-1 over the New York Islanders, 8 o'clock tonight on NBC Sports Network. NBA action, 6:30 p.m., the Heat and the Celtics. It's Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Western Conference semifinals tonight, Game 7, Denver Nuggets versus the Clippers. That's coming up tonight. ESPN at 9 o'clock. Series tied 3 games apiece, so we got a Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals. So lots of action coming up tonight on the NBA and NHL docket. We got the Stanley Cup and the NBA championships coming up real soon. The Stanley Cup here in a matter of days. The NBA playoffs getting to its conclusion as well. We got baseball still to come. It's kind of almost overload just a little bit here. I mean, can there be too much sports? No, what am I talking about here? Baseball, we've got Pirates-Reds action coming up tonight here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And, of course, coming up on Saturday, Appalachian State at Marshall, 3:30 p.m., the new kick time. CBS broadcasting that game. So looking at Marshall, the last 2 herd games, this one and the last game, let's just call it that way. This is the best TV package Marshall's had in a long while. ESPN proper, CBS proper. And then it drops down a bit. Because when we next see the herd, unless there's some scheduling changing here, when we next see the herd, October 10th on the road, 7:30 p.m. against the Hilltoppers on Stadium. And then October 17th, La Tech, that game will be 6 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. October 24th, 2:30 p.m. on Stadium. October 30th, 7 p.m. against FIU, CBS Sports Network. And then you get down to November 14th, 1:30 p.m. CBS Sports Network, and November 21st, 12:30 p.m. on Stadium. So enjoy it while you can, because it drops down here immensely after this. Unless something gets changed here and CBS Sports Network goes, hey, we want to move those games. Could you see this game between La Tech and Marshall move to CBS like this one? I mean, Marshall might have to beat App State and then be like the bottom of the top 25 for that consideration. I don't know. Because, I mean, to be honest, this is a pretty good game as it is, but you have the added value of the Sun Belt just smacking around the Big 12. You have that added value, and you have the added value of Appalachian State coming in ranked. So you've got a lot of added value here to make this game an interesting game. Sure, there's some history between Marshall and Appalachian State. That really doesn't factor into this because, I mean, honestly, when's the last time these two teams met? It's been a long time. It was in 2002. Marshall won that game 50-17. And the last time that Appalachian State won, it was 10-3 in 1995. In the Southern Conference. So it's been a while since Appalachian State's beat Marshall, and at the same time, it's been a while since Appalachian State has faced Marshall Appalachian State does lead this series 14-8. This will be the first time these two teams have met as FBS participants. So I'm pretty excited for this one. I think you should be as well. And finally today, I'm on Twitter, and Sasha Banks is trending. Of course, Sasha Banks, the boss in the WWE. By the way, got beat up. Bayley beat her up. Her longtime bestie, Bayley, just beat her up after they lost a WWE Women's Tag title match against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. They lost on SmackDown, and Bayley jumps her. That's okay. That's okay, because the boss is trending today because the trailer for Season 2 of The Mandalorian dropped. And you got, of course, the internet sensation Baby Yoda. You have Gina Carano, former MMA fighter, breakout character in that show. You have, of course, Carl Weathers, of course. I mean, come on. Apollo Creed. He's in the show. And you have Sasha Banks now in the show. So it's trending, I guess, with the WWE universe. And if you haven't seen the trailer just yet, you need to go watch it right now. It is probably the best show on streaming right now, and Season 2 is coming out on October 30th. But it's trending today because, again, the boss is in the show this year. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, what do you want? I don't know. Do you want the boss and, I don't know, you want Becky Lynch? You want the boss and the man? What do you want? That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks a lot. I really do appreciate it. We're getting all through this together, and we'll continue on tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.